What's going on, everybody? Harrison here, the Arabian Pleb. Welcome to the Arabian Pleb show. What's today? Wednesday, 12th of November. Hope you're all well. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done another one of these. I'll just get straight into it, though. Check out how retarded this bullshit is.
This match between the average size of households and the average size of a home is prompting experts to propose a tax on spare bedrooms. New research from Cotality revealed a third of Australian households is made up of just two people, while the most common property is three bedrooms. It suggested that a levy, along with the removal of stamp duty, may encourage shrinking families and empty nesters to downsize, freeing up supply. This match between
You got to be fucking kidding, right? You've got to be fucking kidding me. This is their plan to increase supply of housing in Australia, is to impose a tax on spare bedrooms. What the fuck are they fucking doing? What are they talking about? This is the dumbest shit I've ever fucking heard in my life. Well, not ever, but this is up there with some of the dumbest fucking shit I've ever heard. What are they talking about? You know, a good way to increase supply of housing would be allow people to build more houses. And why aren't people building more houses? The cost is too high. And not just the cost of materials and labour expertise, it's the cost of regulation. It's the cost in time and money in just fucking dealing with the government. Zoning laws, immigration's a big part of it too, which is a government policy. So there's just so many things that could be done in order to increase the supply of housing and bring the price of housing down. But no, they're not going to do that. They're just going to impose another fucking tax on you. A tax on spare bedrooms. Are you fucking serious, dude? This is so fucking stupid, man. Well, that got me animated. I'm pretty pissed off. Don't know about you guys. It's a little bit of a slow news day, so there's not heaps that I want to cover per se. Nothing explosive anyway. I have been following Candace Owens' show and her investigation of Charlie Kirk's assassination or public execution, and that's all super interesting. But yeah, there's still new stuff coming in, and there's just not too much to talk about. And anyone who is interested in her investigation, go check out her show, the Candace Owens show. It's really good for anyone who's wanting to keep up to date with the latest with the Charlie Kirk assassination. So given that fact, and what was my last episode was like just some disagreements I have with Nick Fuentes. Yeah, that's sort of been, yeah, anyone who's interested in that, go check out my last show. He's still doing his appearances and going on people's platforms, and now one of the biggest commentators in this space. So there's more people doing more and more videos on that guy. So yeah, not gonna just continue to beat a dead horse. But what can I talk about? I just thought I'd do what I often do and look at the market. So let's just jump over and check all that out. And where I often like to start is with gold, and it's doing really well. I mean, after it broke out of this this pendant here and went absolutely spastic, we got a much needed pullback, which happened over the started, I guess, like the 17th of October. So what are we now? 12th of November. So almost a month ago. So it's been a month of a correction, but and then now starting to climb again. And let me just go to a 4-hour chart. So this is gold priced in US dollars. And what we do often talk about, what Mitch Ray talks about, and all these guys who are really into technical analysis, is we got one bottom and then a second bottom, which can be perceived by market participants as a confirmation low, and usually one time, two time, there's capitulation from the sellers and the buyers take control and push the price higher. So that looks like what's going on. And then if I just go back to the daily chart, we had another bullish indicator, which is this divergence, bullish divergence on the MACD histogram. I'm just trying to, sorry. Yeah, so we've got low levels of negative momentum, massive levels of negative momentum, and then it's starting to wane. But so where it's the divergence is this massive amount of negative momentum, but a lower high up here. So does that make sense? So see, low amount of negative momentum, lower price, huge amount of negative momentum. You would if it was convergence, this price would be lower than this valley over here. Does that make sense? So like, big valley here, but big valley here, not so big valley there. It's diverging. That can be perceived as a bullish indicator, and price going to the upside and probably fresh all-time highs. So that's what's going on with gold in in US dollars. In gold in Aussie dollars right now. Very similar. You've got this bullish divergence on the MACD histogram, and price moving upwards. $6,335.61 currently. Well, may as well just look at silver in US dollars, $51 roughly. Similar thing. And then also silver in Aussie dollar. Oh no, that's the gold to silver ratio is silver in Aussie dollars. There we go. $78. Similar thing as well. Bullish divergence on the MACD, and price moving to the upside and looking to probably take out the previous all-time high of $84.09. Lovely. What else do we want to look at on these markets? We may as well just look at the S&P 500. Whatever. Just money printer go burr. Money printer go burr is what this is. NASDAQ, same thing. Money printer go burr. Dow Jones Industrial Average. Yep. Isn't it funny? All those charts basically look the same, eh? Have a look at the Aussie one quickly. It's all pretty synchronized, isn't it? But yep, money printer, go burr. That's what the money printer does. What else? Good to look at bonds. May as well have a quick look at bonds. The Aussie 10-year yield, 4.368%. I wonder when maybe I'll have a look, but I wonder the RBA, Reserve Bank of Australia, would have met. I think it's usually the first Tuesday or the second Tuesday of the month. So that was yesterday or the day or the week before. So I'll see if there's any headlines there. Yeah, I don't know. It's sort of just sideways, massively. Interest rates spiked massively on the 10-year yield after COVID, and then it's just kind of gone sideways ever since. Let's look at the US. It's all probably going to be pretty similar. I mean, US, I think, cut rates recently, so maybe that's why this has been trending downwards just more recently. And what else? May as well look at the DXY, the US dollar, priced against a basket of other currencies. Not much difference, 99.49. And just have a look at the Aussie dollar to the US dollar, or the toilet paper to the US dollar, 65.239 cents. Don't know if I want to look at anything else. BitShit. Let's have a look at BitShit. In Aussie dollars, in US dollars, sorry, $102,871. And looks like there's a bit of trending downwards. So I don't know. Price is massively elevated, due for a pullback. could, excuse me, it could be a bigger pullback than we think, but it'll probably just make a higher low and then run again, as it often does. All right. So I just had a look at the Reserve Bank of Australia cash rate. So in Australia, the cash rate is the targeted interest rate that the Reserve Bank of Australia goes for. So I'll just jump over, and it looks like they paused. So I guess they met. Where's my fucking cursor? So I guess they met on the 5th of November and left the cash rate target unchanged at 3.6%. 13th of August was the previous meeting before that one, and 3.6. And what do we got? July, 9th of July, 3.85%. So I guess they cut 0.15% after July at the August 13th meeting, and then in November's meeting they've left it unchanged. So that's where things are at with the interest rates from the central bank in Australia currently, for anyone who's interested. All right, enough of that hooblob. Let's jump over to antiwar.com. As I always say, the most important website on the internet, or one of the most important websites on the internet, I'd argue. Let's go through some of the headlines, and if there's anything that grabs me, then we can read through them. So let's do it. Let's fucking do it, mate. Stop talking about it. Just fucking do it. All right. What do we got? So it's antiwar.com. The top headline: report US to build large base on Gaza border. Well, what the fuck's that all about? Let's have a quick read. Come on, brah. It's taking a sweet ass time, isn't it? Okay. Oh, bear with me one sec. Sorry about that. Duty calls when work needs to be done. Okay. Let me just get back to where I'm at. Okay, so report: US to build $500 million military base in Israel on the Gaza border. According to the Israeli investigative outlet, God, I'm going to fuck this up, Shomrim, the base will be big enough to house thousands of US and international troops. So this is by Dave DeCamp, 11th November 2025, 1 p.m. ET, Gaza, Israel. The US is planning to build a large military base in Israel on the Gaza border, according to a joint report from the Israeli investigative outlet Shomrim in the Israeli newspaper Yedioth. Aronoth. Reports said that the construction of the base would cost about $500,000 and would be designed to house thousands of US and international troops tasked with maintaining the Gaza ceasefire deal. Great. Fucking great, dude. So fucked. The US has already established a military outpost in southern Israel to oversee the ceasefire, known as the Civil Military Coordination Center, or CMCC. But the construction of such a large base would mark a significant escalation of the US military presence. It would also increase the US involvement in Gaza, where Israel is regularly carrying out attacks and killing Palestinians despite the truce deal. Quote, it's hard to overstate the significance of building such a base, end quote, an Israeli security official told Shomrim. Quote, since the Six-Day War, Israel has sought to minimize international involvement in the territories. The establishment of an American base on Israeli soil shows just how determined Washington is to be involved in Gaza and the border Israeli-Palestinian conflict, end quote. The US has already deployed 200 troops to the CMCC, which has replaced Israel as the overseer of humanitarian aid deliveries into Gaza, according to a report from the Washington Post. Israel has continued to restrict aid deliveries to Gaza in violation of the ceasefire deal. Shomrim said that it asked the US Embassy in Jerusalem for a comment on the report and was referred to the US Department of War, which which in turn referred to U.S. Central Command. Shom Rim said it hasn't received a response from CENTCOM. Antiwar.com has asked the State Department for a comment on the report and has yet to receive a reply. So that's that. Okay, so sounds fucking terrible to me. U.S. bombs 2 more boats in Latin America. Okay, this is a crazy story because this isn't really being reported on much that I've seen from, like internet commentators and podcasters and people who typically talk about conflicts that the US is involved in, like the Gaza slaughter and Ukraine and stuff like that. So I think I spoke about it on another episode, but if I haven't, Trump's been bombing these boats fucking near Venezuela or in South America somewhere there. I'm pretty sure Venezuelan boats, and they're classing them as narco terrorists without evidence, not proving it at all, just saying these are a bunch of Marco Rubio, these are a bunch of narco terrorists, and so therefore we get to just fucking bomb them and explode all these people to death. And Trump's administration, Trump himself, is pushing for regime change in Venezuela and wanting to start a war there. So let's check out this article. U.S. bombs 2 more boats in the waters of Latin America. According to Hegseth, the boats were targeted in the eastern Pacific Ocean and a total of 6 people were killed. U.S. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth announced on Monday that the U.S. military bombed 2 more boats that he claimed, without providing evidence, were carrying drugs in the eastern Pacific Ocean. The strikes bring the total number of boats the U.S. has bombed since early September to 20. Fuck, dude. Including 10 that were targeted in the Caribbean and 10 that were hit in the Eastern Pacific. Hegseth said the latest bombings killed a total of 6 narco terrorists, end quote, and a term that the Trump administration has used to justify extrajudicial executions for an alleged crime that doesn't receive the death penalty in the United States. Isn't that fucking retarded? The 6 deaths bring the total number of people the U.S. military has killed at sea to 75, according to numbers released by the Trump administration. Under President Trump, we are protecting the homeland and killing these cartel terrorists who wish to harm our country and its people, end quote, Hegseth wrote on X. Oh, are you prepared to see some fucking disturbing shit? Sorry to subject you to this, but we're watching this video of the latest bombings. Fucking hell, man. Oh, fucking hell, dude. Are you going to fucking bomb that little fucking... Oh, my God, man. Imagine that, dude. Imagine you just fucking on your boat and then the US military just fucking bombs you to death and just creates a fucking pit of fire on the ocean out of your boat. Let's carry on. Last week, President Trump repeated the false claim that for each boat the US military destroys, 25,000 American lives are saved. Where does that number come from? Where is he pulling that shit? He just makes shit up. They all do. Not just him. All these presidents, all these politicians, prime ministers. He has previously claimed the strikes were targeting fentanyl, which has caused the majority of drug overdoses in the US. But the Pentagon has told Congress that all of the boats it has hit were allegedly smuggling cocaine, though the Department of War has not provided any evidence to back up its claim about what the vessels are carrying. And here's the fucking crazy thing too, dude, is that the CIA fucking imports cocaine, or like has a history of importing cocaine, especially under the Reagan administration in the 80s and all this stuff. They're the biggest drug dealers out of fucking anybody, but, is probably still doing it to this day. Like, if they've done it back then who's to say that they fucking stopped? So, like, yeah, such hypocrites, such fucking scumbags, Such pieces of shit. Where am I up to? The bombing campaign began targeting boats leaving Venezuela, which is not a producer of fentanyl or a transit point for fentanyl that arrives in the US. A report from the Washington Post cited officials from the US and other countries who said the route the US was targeting near Venezuela is mainly used to smuggle cocaine and marijuana to Trinidad and Tobago. Don't know. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. And from there, cocaine is shipped to Europe and West Africa. The bombing campaign has come under increasing scrutiny due to the lack of legal authority. During a recent congressional briefing on the strikes, the Pentagon admitted it didn't know the identities of the people it had been killing. Rep. Sarah Jacobs, Democrat CA, not too sure what state CA is. Sorry for my ignorance, who attended the briefing, said the military campaign would still be illegal even if it were authorized by Congress. The Trump administration has also continued its military buildup in the Caribbean aimed at unseating Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. The Senate has failed to assert its war powers over the president, voting down a bill last week that would have blocked Trump from launching a war with Venezuela without congressional authorization. Oh, fucking hell. US troops train in Panama for first time in decades. Syria's former Al-Qaeda leader visits White House. This is pretty wild. Mohammed al-Jalani, former Al-Qaeda leader in Syria, fought against US troops in Fallujah and Mosul, I believe, in the Second Iraq War around 2005. And now he's just coming to the White House, shaking hands with Trump. Had a fucking bounty of $10 million on his head from the US, a US bounty on his head for $10 million, and now he's just shaking hands with Trump. It's fucking lovely. It is a real personification of the US's war against terror. The fact that the United States has been fighting on both sides. They fight for terrorism, all throughout the 90s, with Bill Clinton supporting the bin Ladenite terrorists in Bosnia, Kosovo, and Chechnya against the Russians and the Serbs. And then also fighting against the terrorists in Afghanistan and Iraq, and then fighting for the terrorists again in Syria and Libya, and then fighting against them when they formed ISIS and then went back into Iraq, and then now fighting for them in Syria and Yemen. So, it's just a fucking schizophrenic foreign policy that the United States has. Excuse me. Trump hosts Syria's Al-Qaeda leader turned president at the White House. President Trump on Monday hosted a meeting at the White House with Syrian President Ahmed al-Sharaa, the former Al-Qaeda leader who took power in Damascus with his group of jihadists known as Hayat Tahrir al-Sham in December of last year. So this guy, President Ahmed al-Sharaa, that's his original name, but his name when he was fighting for Al-Qaeda, he changed his name to Mohammed al-Jalani, and then since taking over Syria, changed his name back to his original name, Ahmed al-Sharaa. The Syrian presidency said Sharaa and Trump were joined by Syrian Interior Minister Anans Hassan Khattab, another former Al-Qaeda member, and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Photos of the meeting show that Vice President J.D. Vance and U.S. Ambassador to Turkey Tom Barak, who has acted as an envoy to Syria, also attended. The Syrian presidency said the officials, quote, addressed the bilateral relations between the Syrian Arab Republic and the United States, as well as ways to strengthen and develop them, in addition to a number of regional and international issues of common interest, end quote. The meeting marked the first time a Syrian president visited the White House since the country gained independence from France in 1946. And here's the picture of Trump with Mohammed al-Jilani right there. Al-Qaeda, former Al-Qaeda terrorist turned Syrian president. Despite his Al-Qaeda past, Sharar has been embraced by the Trump administration, which announced after the meeting that it was continuing its waiver of most, I can't pronounce that word, I don't know, dude. Sorry, something act, sanctions on Syria for another 180 days. Sanctions under the Caesar. Is it Caesar? Yeah, I guess it is. I'm so bad at reading sometimes, most of the time. The Caesar Act was first imposed in 2020 and were designed to prevent the reconstruction of the country as long as former Syrian President Bashar al-Assad remained in power. Quote, the US government has adopted new policies and regulatory posture to encourage US businesses and banks, the international community, the Syrian people, and regional partners to contribute to Syria's stability while denying resources to harmful actors, end quote, the US Treasury Department said. Sharar was hoping for a permanent lifting of the US sanctions, but that requires action from Congress, which hasn't been in session due to the government shutdown. Earlier in the day, Sharar met with several members of Congress, including Rep. Joe Wilson, who called for the complete and total, quote, the complete and total, end quote, repeal of the Caesars Act. Sharar also met with Representative Brian Mast, the chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Quote, last evening, the new Syrian president Ahmed al-Sharar and I broke bread. We had a long and serious conversation about how to build a future with the people of Syria free of war, ISIS, and extremism, end quote, Mast said in a statement on the meeting. Quote, he and I are two former soldiers and two former enemies. I asked him directly why we are no longer enemies. His response was that he wishes to liberate from the past and have a noble pursuit of his people and his country, and to be a great ally of the United States of America, end quote, Mast added. That is a fucking crazy exchange, dude, because Mast, from what I understand, you know, this guy has lost two of his legs and I believe lost them to an IED or an EFP, an improvised explosive device, or a explosively formed IED and EFP, explosively formed penetrator. So these are Iraqi bombs that the insurgents were laying for the Americans to fucking, you know, get smashed by. And Mast was one of those Americans. This guy's very much an Israeli firster, and after October 7th, he came out in an IDF uniform. This is a guy who's a member of Congress and a US citizen and is getting around in an IDF fucking uniform, which is pretty fucking wild. But anyway, this guy fought against Al-Qaeda in Iraq. Jilani or Sharar, the new president of Syria, has bragged about fighting against US troops in Iraq, and is you see how fucking crazy this is? Mast got his legs blown off by Al-Qaeda. Sharar is former Al-Qaeda fighting in that exact war that Mast lost his legs, and now they're fucking breaking bread and, you know, talking about how they were former enemies. It's just fucking insane, dude. Where am I up to? I'm starting to get a bit of a sore throat, so I might wrap this up soon. While Sharar now presents himself as a moderate, there have been massacres of thousands of Alawites and Druze civilians committed by government forces or government-linked fighters since he took power. Sharar, formerly known as Abu Muhammad al-Jilani, fought against US troops in Iraq as a member of Al-Qaeda and was imprisoned from 2006 to 2011 before traveling to Syria, where he founded Al-Qaeda's Syria affiliate known as Al-Nusra, known as the Al-Nusra Front. Before his visit to the White House, the US got the UN Security Council to lift sanctions on Sharar, which were imposed on him in 2013 due to his association with Ayman al-Zawahiri, the al-Qaeda leader who was known for helping Osama bin Laden plot the 9/11 attacks, and Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, the founder of ISIS. In 2016, Sharar claimed the Al-Nusra Front was cutting ties with Al-Qaeda. So in 2016, he claimed Al-Nusra Front was cutting ties with Al-Qaeda. At the time, he he thanked the commanders of Al-Qaeda for having understood the need to break ties. In 2017, he merged his group with several other Islamist factions to form Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which the United States Department the U.S. State Department designated as a foreign terrorist organization in 2018, and a designation that was lifted earlier this year. The US is now forming a military alliance with Sharar's government, and he was expected to formally enlist Syria in the US-led anti-ISIS coalition during the White House meeting. According to a report from Reuters, the US is planning to establish a military presence at an air base in Damascus as part of a plan to monitor a potential security deal between Syria and Israel. This is what it's all about. It's all about making everybody friends with Israel at the cost of blood and treasure to the Americans. While Israel has used the new HTS-led government in Damascus as an excuse to invade southwestern Syria, it aided in the regime change effort that ousted Assad, who Israel wanted out of power due to his alliance with Iran and Hezbollah. According to President Trump, Israel and Turkey has requested that the US lift sanctions on Syria. Man, oh man, oh man, is that a fucking kerfuffle. All right, so I'll just read the headlines. I'm not going to read any more articles because I got to get going. I got shit to do, but just wanted to pump one of these out there. How long have I been going for? 32 mins, as Dale would say. All right, so that's not too bad. A little half an hour episode to put out for everybody. If you like this stuff, please like, share, comment, give us some feedback. I really appreciate it. Really helps out with the YouTube stuff things. The YouTube stuff things. That's what we want help with. Okay. Trump says MGT lost her way after she criticized Sharar meeting. Sounds like she's fucking got her head screwed on. Israeli drone kills 2 Palestinians in Gaza. Kushner meeting with Netanyahu in Israel to discuss Gaza. Israeli soldiers speak out on killings of Gaza civilians. Blinken was warned Israel was committing war crimes in 2023. Israel kills 3 in southern Lebanon strikes. Israeli settlers beat Palestinian journalists in West Bank. US bombs Somalia for 90th time this year. Longest war in American history now, the war in Somalia. Sami Hamadi to be released from ICE detention. And then they got the viewpoints. Will the Taiwan issue stay quiet during Trump's term? Congressional Republicans must stand up to the president on Venezuela. Honor veterans by ending wars. 3 years of sanctions prove John McCain wrong about Russia. All right, so that's everything at antiwar.com. Again, please, go check those guys out. Dave DeCamp has a great YouTube channel, Anti-War News, and he just reads through all these articles, and does a much better job than I ever could. So check him out and like his stuff. I think that's probably going to be it, everyone. Yep, that's going to be it. All right, so thanks everyone. For those that tune in, again, please like the video, please share the video, give us some feedback. I really, really do appreciate that. Helps me out a lot, and it's always lovely to hear from anyone who likes listening to my content. Hope you have a lovely rest of the week. What else? Stay healthy, happy, informed. Maybe what's something else I can do for another episode? I'll have a good think about it, but I might just get more into sort of like principles and what shapes my worldview and how best to align yourself with truth, in my opinion. So I might have a good think about that. But anyway, thanks everyone. Peace out. Hope you have a great rest of the day, great rest of the week, yeah. Never stop telling your loved ones that you love them. All right. Catch you guys. Peace.